And with all the upsetting news in the headlines, this is the kind of story that reminds us there are still good people out there.
And then you can see it right there, the suspect trying to get into somebody's property or still trying to hide.
When police suspect criminal activity is afoot, a police pursuit may give rise. But it doesn't always end well. Sometimes the situation turns against the police. And in those moments, it's often bystanders and Good Samaritans who rush in to help. Bystanders help deputy to wrestle gun from suspect. A Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy was in a life-or-death situation with a suspect. The suspect overpowered the deputy and went for his gun. 3 guys, one just a store employee, saw what was happening. Without hesitation, they rushed over to help. These bystanders didn't just watch, they literally jumped in to help the office. Thanks to them, the rookie deputy could regain control until backup arrived. The suspect was arrested, and thankfully, the deputy wasn't hurt. Officers catch a ride with a civilian during foot chase. This incident took place in White Settlement, Texas, where 2 police officers were in a foot chase, trying to catch a suspect who fled after being pulled over for driving a stolen car. It was a hot day in Texas, as one can imagine, and one of the officers started to slow down, weighed down by his gear and the scorching heat. That's when something incredible happened. A Good Samaritan named Jimmy Davis pulled up in his car and offered the officer a ride. The officer hopped in without a second thought, and they sped off to catch up with his partner, Officer Samuel Brown. To everyone's shock, Brown is a new hire with only one arm and was already in a full-on foot chase. Davis didn't hesitate. He helped Officer Brown detain the suspect. Man helps police stop severely impaired driver. It was an ordinary day when a man named John Barrett was driving and spotted a blue car swerving all over the road. John didn't hesitate. He decided to follow the car and alert other drivers because the blue car was going completely out of control, crashing into a road sign and barely missing oncoming traffic. It was a miracle. No one was hit. John kept following to stop this reckless driver. After a 15-mile chase, a state trooper finally pulled the blue car over. Turns out, the driver was under the influence and had heroin and a syringe in the car. Samaritan helps Dallas officer catch suspect. This police chase went down in the Dallas area where a possible shooting suspect behind the wheel was driving like a maniac to escape the cops. The suspect was all over the place, running red lights, weaving through traffic, just pure chaos on the streets. Multiple police cars were in hot pursuit, trying to stop this guy before someone got hurt. To his bad luck, after driving into oncoming traffic, the suspect finally got stuck. With nowhere left to go, he had no choice but to surrender. 2 people were taken into custody, and thankfully, no one was injured. Samaritan helps trooper being attacked. On a Michigan highway, a trooper was trying to arrest a motorcyclist who just crashed. But then, out of nowhere, the suspect's brother jumps in and starts attacking the trooper. Fortunately, a passing driver sees what's happening and doesn't just drive by. He pulls over and decides to help. Because of his bravery, the situation didn't spiral into something worse, and both suspects were arrested. Good Samaritan helps officer in trouble. It all happened in a Home Depot parking lot in La Habra, California. A Brea police officer pulls over a driver for a traffic violation. Suddenly, the suspect bolts and takes off running. The officer catches up to the running driver, but things don't go that smoothly. The suspect starts struggling with the officer, even trying to grab his gun. He grabbed it so violently that he broke the bolts that held the handgun. A Good Samaritan sees what's happening and jumps in to help the officer. Thanks to this brave bystander, the officer was able to subdue the suspect. Police officer saved by handcuffed teenager. The next incident we're going to talk about took place in Florida and was caught on CCTV of the police station. A teenager named Jamal Rutledge was being processed after an arrest. But then, something unexpected happened. Officer Franklin Folks, who was processing Jamal, suddenly collapsed, clutching his chest in pain. Jamal could have just stood there, but instead, he immediately started kicking the security fence and shouting for help. His quick thinking worked. Sergeant Todd Buin heard the commotion and rushed in, recognizing that Officer Folks was in serious trouble. Another officer joined in, and soon, medical personnel arrived. Army veteran stops armed police chase suspect. This was a crazy story from College Park, Georgia, at a food bank, where the volunteers were helping prepare meals for families in need. And suddenly, a car chase suspect crashed into the parking lot. A volunteer noticed the suspect was armed and quickly alerted others. But things got a little dramatic from here onwards. The food bank's chief manager, William Joyner, an Army veteran, stepped up to handle the situation. Joyner confronted the armed suspect, trying to keep things under control until the police arrived and tased him. The suspects fled in a stolen car, but were eventually caught after crashing and running away. Samaritan helps police end pursuit. In this incident in St. Peters, Missouri, a high-speed car chase through the streets of St. Louis with a Ford Focus, weaving in and out of traffic and hitting other vehicles. The suspects were two women who were driving recklessly. But then, Keith Hauser, with police training, decided to jump in. With his black pickup truck, he blocked the suspects' path, halting their escape and allowing police to catch up. What a move, right? Pizza delivery man helps police. Tyler Morrell, just a regular pizza delivery driver in Aston, Pennsylvania, finds himself in the middle of a high-speed police chase. As he's making a routine delivery, a stolen car speeds through the neighborhood, crashes, and the suspects flee on foot. Tyler, with the pizza box in hand, ends up right on their path. Tyler used his foot to trip one of the fleeing suspects, thereby helping the police catch him. Good Samaritan helps Cicero cop during shooting. In Cicero, Illinois, a concealed carry permit holder was heading home when a routine traffic stop turned into a full-blown gun battle. An officer was already down, and the other was under fire. That's when a brave, 42-year-old civilian who was on his way home decided to jump in. He drew his weapon and fired at the suspect, hit them, and helped end the confrontation. Thanks to his intervention, the suspect was captured, and the wounded officer, Luis Duarte, is recovering after surgery. Samaritan tackles suspect. In Hollywood, California, a shocking surveillance video captured a ruthless attack on an elderly man. The footage shows the suspect delivering a sudden, violent punch before stealing the victim's belongings. Tim Ratcliffe, a local business owner, witnessed the assault and didn't hesitate. He chased down the attacker, tackled him, and held him until police arrived. Ratcliffe's girlfriend and another bystander also stepped in to help. The attacker was arrested and now faces multiple charges. Armed Good Samaritan stops car wash carjacking. It all starts with 4 men in a red van targeting a woman's vehicle. They wait for her to step away before jumping in to steal it. A City of Smyrna employee who was at the car wash saw the carjacking in progress. Without hesitation, He pulls out his pistol and fires at the suspects. One suspect falls out of the car and is taken to the hospital in stable condition, while the rest are caught by police. Samaritan helps take down chase suspect. This incident is as shocking as it gets, ladies and gentlemen. In northwest Harris County, Texas, a Good Samaritan stepped in during a high-speed car chase. It all began when a suspect in a stolen truck sped away from a traffic stop and led the police on a wild pursuit. Things took an intense turn when the suspect abandoned the truck and fled on foot. Climbing a fence, it seemed like he might escape. But then Devin, a former track star and trained security guard, noticed the chase. Devin didn't think for a moment. He sprinted after the suspect, tackled him, and held him down until the police arrived. Good Samaritans help Modesto officer. The incident took place in Modesto, California. It all started with a routine call about a possible car break-in near a convenience store. Officer Daniel Steffens was on the scene, but what began as a straightforward arrest quickly turned dangerous. Steffens attempted to detain the suspect, but the suspect resisted violently and grabbed the officer's gun. The situation was dire, and it looked like it could end tragically. But here's when bystanders, who saw the officer in trouble, didn't just stand by. They jumped in, risking their safety to help the officer. They managed to subdue the suspect and prevent a potential disaster. Truck driver thwarts man's 2-hour getaway attempt. This is one of the most intense police chases you'll ever see, and it ends in a truly unexpected way. In the video, you can see the LA cops trying to arrest a suspect in a murder case. Well, he took off in a pickup truck, hitting speeds of up to 90 miles per hour. For 2 hours, the pursuit was broadcast live, with everyone on edge. It might have continued even longer if it wasn't for the truck driver, Ahmed Shaban. As the chase barrels toward him, he positions his big rig right in the path of the fleeing truck. The crash was intense, no cap. The big rig shudders from the impact, and you see the suspect's truck crumple. The driver, airbags deployed, is told to crawl out and comply. In conversation with the trucker, it was found out that he hurt his knee in the crash and didn't expect the suspect to hit him. He thought the truck would be enough to make the suspect stop. Woman held at knife point. In Portland, Oregon, outside a McDonald's, a woman was held at knife point, and it was all caught on camera by a bystander. Christopher Hall, the suspect, had grabbed a random woman and was using her as a human shield, brandishing a knife and a chain on Northwest 19th and Burnside. The scene was tense, but then came this man wearing a blue shirt. He saw the scene, waited for the right moment, and then tackled Hall as he tried to flee. When police arrived, they were able to arrest Hall after a struggle, with the suspect eventually being tased. Bystander body slams man who attacked Utah cop. There are still many good people in the world, and this video captures one of them at a gas station on July 27, 2018. Officer Austin Williams went to Sam's Club in Provo to check on a disoriented man asking people for water in the parking lot. Officer Williams first approached the man, Emiliano Medina, offering him water. Medina then made a gun motion with his hand and pointed it at his head. Medina quickly reached for the officer's gun. Officer Williams, surprised, told Medina not to touch it. Medina punched Williams in the head and started running away. That is when a man in a white t-shirt near the gas pumps saw what was happening and acted. Medina, who had meth in his system, now faces several charges. Good Samaritan helps end lengthy police chase. What would you say about a high-speed police chase tearing down at nearly 80 mph? Well, this is what happened at Crenshaw Boulevard. The driver is swerving dangerously, using the median and sidewalks like they're part of the racetrack. There's a close call with a parked car and even the police vehicle on the suspect's tail. This was when a Samaritan in a truck decided enough is enough. He pulls up and blocks the suspect's path. The suspect's hands are visible outside the window as LAPD officers approach with their guns drawn. The suspect tries to escape the vehicle, but struggles with the door. Eventually, he crawls out the window, and officers quickly move in to apprehend him. Samaritan holds suspect at gunpoint. A very quiet day at Seattle Center suddenly erupted into chaos. On November 3, 2018, a man armed with a knife attacked a woman outside a pizza restaurant. The victim, who was seriously injured, was rushed to Harborview Medical Center. Luckily, a Good Samaritan stepped in with a gun, holding the attacker at bay until the police arrived. The suspect tried to provoke the armed man, even daring him to shoot, but the situation was kept under control. The suspect, subdued with pepper spray, was eventually arrested. The victim's condition was critical, and the suspect faced severe charges, including attempted murder. Good Samaritan helps chase down and capture carjacker. A woman gave a man involved in an accident a lift to a gas station, but what happened next was anything but ordinary. As the woman walked back to her car, the man she helped suddenly tried to rob her, but luckily, a Good Samaritan stepped in and chased down the would-be carjacker. The mugger runs off at the nearby gas station and quickly jumps behind the wheels of a Jeep. Realizing that, the owner quickly jumped in, and that was also when another Samaritan tried getting into the passenger seat. But the assailant guns him, and the Samaritan tumbles to the asphalt. The suspect and the Jeep owner continue several rounds across the two-lane roads until the Jeep plows into a metal pole. At this point, the carjacker bolts again, but he is chased by the Samaritan and the Jeep owner, and finally gets hold of the suspect. The police arrived at the scene and arrested the carjacker. Samaritan tackles suspect fleeing from cops. Next up is a high-speed chase through the streets of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And suddenly, a man in an orange shirt, Ty Clem, bursts onto the scene and tackles a fleeing suspect. Pennsylvania man saves cop, despite history with police. Imagine being wrongfully accused and spending a year in jail before finally being cleared. That was Dalen McLee's reality. Yet, despite this injustice, McLee didn't harbor resentment toward the police. Then, fate threw him into a life-or-death situation. He witnessed a bad traffic accident with a police officer trapped in a burning car, Officer Jay Henley. Other officers were struggling to open the door, but McLee stepped in. He pried open the door and pulled Henley to safety. Samaritan helps injured police officer in Rowlett. Baldwin started a foot chase in northwest Rowlett while trying to arrest a man with outstanding warrants. During the chase, he slipped and fell hard. The pain in his leg and hip made him think he had been shot. Baldwin tore a ligament in his leg and his hip popped out of its socket. Elizabeth Nayor, a neighbor who grew up in a medical home, came to Baldwin's aid. She stayed with him until help arrived. Baldwin didn't let her kindness go. He, along with other officers, surprised Niora at her workplace to thank her. Samaritans trips up, chase suspect. In this video, there's a wild chase and a suspect is sprinting down the street, trying to escape. Out of nowhere, a guy in a red shirt steps up and casually sticks out his leg, just at the right moment. The suspect trips and goes down hard. Samaritans stop to help Willoughby, officer being attacked. In Willoughby, Ohio, Officer Stacy Wright pulled over a speeding driver named David Kubek. Kubek got out of his car, ignored Wright's commands, and became aggressive, pushing her and refusing to follow orders. 4 Good Samaritans who were passing by saw the struggle and stepped in to help Wright, and they assisted her in subduing the man and arresting him. Kubek, who is 64 years old, faces charges of assaulting a police officer, resisting arrest, speeding, and not wearing a seatbelt. Man helps deputy under attack. In this video, a routine traffic stop turns into a high-stakes situation in Florida. It starts with what seems like a normal traffic stop. A police deputy pulls over a car, and everything looks calm as he approaches the driver. But hold on, things didn't remain smooth for long. Suddenly, the driver leaps out of the vehicle and lunges at the deputy. The deputy fought to regain control. This is when 2 bystanders, witnessing the attack, sprung into action. One tackles the suspect, while the other helps the deputy. With the combined efforts of the deputy and these Good Samaritans, the suspect is eventually subdued. Samaritans rescuing CHP officer. This incident happened at the Main Street northbound entrance to the 5 freeway in Santa Ana. CHP officers had been called because a man was yelling at drivers and trying to take down a freeway sign. The officer planned to let the man go with a warning when the man suddenly attacked. Moments later, 3 Good Samaritans rush to help the officer. One of them, Everardo Navarro, saw the situation and realized the officer needed help. Navarro was worried the man might grab the officer's gun and shoot him or others. The Samaritans helped the officer control the situation without anyone getting seriously hurt. Samaritan helps. Fort Worth officers take down suspects. The story starts when the police get a call about someone firing a gun nearby. Firing a gun in broad daylight. They track down these 2 teens, spot them by an ATM, and what do they find? A loaded handgun on a 17-year-old. As the officers try to detain these boys, the teens start fighting back. It was 2 officers, 2 suspects, and a loaded gun. That's when Jim Walker, just an ordinary citizen who happened to be there, steps up. Without hesitation, he jumps on one of the teens, pinning him down so the officers can secure the gun. Thanks to him, no one got hurt that day. That's it for today's video, folks. So, what do you think? Which one of these bystanders did you find the most courageous? Have you ever witnessed any of such arrests in real life? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the like button. Until next time, goodbye.